Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here, and today I would like to discuss cheat codes. Everything about them. I miss them. They need to come back. They used to be one of my favorite things in video games, even though, let's face it, they were typically relegated to Grand Theft Auto, but they had a lot of cheat codes, so it's a big part of gaming. And of course, we had cheat codes even way back in the day. The Konami code is one of the most famous codes on the face of the planet. It even got referenced in Wreck-It Ralph. Like, people know the Konami code. But sadly, in the era that we live in now, I mean, heck, we're lucky to get New Game Plus when the game first comes out. Or we're lucky to have a game complete when it comes out sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes it's like, hey, what's happening here? So cheat codes have really fallen by the wayside, unfortunately. And I would love it if we could get back to an era where people are like, hey, cheat codes are really fun. Like silly cheat codes, not just like the infinite lives thing. Those, in all honesty, I think that's kind of the boring stuff. I want like the really crazy stuff. I want maybe not invincibility. Invincibility is fine, but that's on the same level of just like, unlimited health type of thing. I want low gravity. And I've said this before. I said this, there's an old clip that I made when I was playing the Dead Space remake. I don't know why it randomly popped into my head, but I started talking about cheat codes. And for me, if I had to pick one cheat code, and I would love to know yours, but if I had to pick one cheat code where it's like, this is the one that I would put in every game, it would be low gravity. For most games that works, especially because I play a lot of action-based games. But I think in general, most games, low gravity could work as a fun, silly cheat code. Like, I want silly stuff like that. Grand Theft Auto, of course, had a bunch of silly cheat codes, and I think GTA 5 has like some of the crappier ones. Like even the invincibility thing I think is weird, because it was like, why'd they make an invincibility cheat code and then they put a 5-minute timer on it? Like, just let me turn it on and off. That's like the weirdest thing in the world to me. So I thought that was odd, but I love the one they have for the weather, and that's mostly due to the fact that you can get the snow in the rest of the game. And I was like, oh, when I first found that out, I was like, oh, well, that's actually super cool, because I was like, okay, yeah, you can make it rainy weather or make it sunny, and that's always kind of fun to do. And I would do that in the older games too, where it's like, hey, change the weather, because I would always change it. If it was raining, I'd always be like, no, make it sunny. I always hated it when it rained. I didn't think it looked cool in the game, so I always appreciated that, where it was like, you want it sunny? Yes, I do. Please get rid of this crap. So that I always enjoyed a little bit. But the sillier cheat codes are the ones that were always the most fun to me. Like, they had low gravity in which one? I think in San Andreas they had low gravity. In Vice City they had flying cars, which I thought was super fun. And I'll never forget, I put the cheat code on for the flying cars, and I thought I'd be able to just fly around the map, but they put an invisible wall up, so even if you flew above the barriers, an invisible wall was there, so you couldn't get to the rest of the city. I hit that wall so effing hard it blew my car up. So I was like, oh, okay. I thought I could just fly over because you guys gave me that cheat code. And it was like, nah, they invisible walls. I hit that bad boy so hard I died. So I was like, okay. But still a fun cheat code. You had to like drive and pick up some speed before you could actually take off. I always thought that was interesting. They had a cheat code in Vice City where you could drive the cars on the water, and they even put in the mechanic of the wheels would turn sideways as if they were actually floating along the water. And I was like, that's super cool. They didn't have to put that in there. They could have just kept it straight, and then you just hit the water and you keep going. So I always thought that was cool. Extra bonus, which it's funny how this connects, because at the time it was just like, oh, that's cool. Now it's a really cool memory because I did that in a DeLorean. So when the wheels were flat, it was like, oh, it's like when the car is flying in Back to the Future Part 2. For me, I didn't make that connection because I wasn't like into Back to the Future at the time. But now I have that random memory. It was like, I did that in a DeLorean, and that's just really funny to have that connection now that I love Back to the Future so much. So love the cars driving on the water, love the flying vehicles, which they kind of had in 3 as well. And I think it was a little bit more difficult to do it. It was something where it was like you could do it with the tank. That's what it was. Because I don't remember if it was low gravity. I think it was still flying cars, but it was way harder in 3 than it was in Vice City. It was a lot easier to like pick up the speed and like pull it off in Vice City. And in 3 it was really difficult, but I'd always use that cheat code and then spawn the tank in, and you could drive backwards and shoot the tank, and you could launch yourself in the air, and you could land inside of the football field. Like, I always remembered playing around and doing that, because I remember seeing that probably on like Cheat on G4 back in the day, and I was like, huh. And then I had that code, and I was like, well, let me test this out myself. And then I would fly around in a tank and just try to land myself inside the football field. But I miss those cheat codes. I miss silly stuff like that. They kept it up. I mean, obviously 5 still has cheat codes, but they just got less and less. And it was really interesting because it's like they're still doing it, but it's just lesser and lesser. Like GTA 4 actually added cheat codes in the DLC, which I thought was really interesting and super fun too, because they added like explosive fists. So when you could punch stuff, and of course, God, I miss the Euphoria engine. That's the engine that they used in GTA 4, where it was like the destructibility was so insanely detailed on cars. I miss that engine super bad. That's also what they used in like the old Force Unleashed games, was the Euphoria engine. But when they had like, you basically, your fists were like shotgun punches, and then people would just be sent flying. You could punch cars and actually dent them and stuff. It was like, this is super fun. Like, it's really silly and over the top. And then of course, you know, you just keep refilling your health, because obviously you're gonna punch everybody. You got explosive shotgun fists. Like, you're not gonna just stand around. Like, that's fun to do. So of course you enjoy that. Having everybody riot in the streets, that was always a fun one. Give everybody weapons. Super dangerous, because it's like, oh, I'm gonna play around and everybody has weapons, and then you die in like 15 seconds, and it's like, oh, they're mad at me. And then everybody has weapons, and then like 3 people get guns, and they only seem to shoot at you, and it's like, oh, well, I'm dead now. That's unfortunate. But I miss those days. I miss like those crazy cheat codes. Like 5 has the thing where they just do like the skydive. I like that. They just send you up in the air and then you just drop down. It's like, that's fun. That's a fun, silly cheat code, just to put myself up in the air. And of course, you do it with invincibility. You can just play around with it. So that I always thought was a fun combination. The super jump that they have in there is just one of those simple things where it's like, it's just a silly little extra cheat code if you just want to play around a bit. I like that. And now I have to get to the game where I consider the pinnacle. For me personally, I would love to hear your opinion. I already said, your favorite cheat code, I want to hear it. No matter what game it was, please let me know. But the pinnacle, when it comes to my favorite game to use cheat codes in, was Saints Row 2. Saints Row 2 was like a masterpiece in cheat codes for me. I played, like, no joke, I probably have more hours from cheat codes in that game than I do from just playing the game normally, because the combination of cheat codes in that game was like one of the greatest things in the world to me. So of course they did have the same thing kind of with GTA, where it was like, everybody can riot, so you can have angry pedestrians. My favorite thing in the world was put invincibility on and angry pedestrians and low gravity. And I would also throw in super strength too. Just, it's fun. You have low gravity, and especially in Saints Row 2, this is, you could pick people up and throw them, and when you would throw them with super strength and low gravity, they would just fly away, and it was just super funny to me. So I always loved that. But the reason I love playing that so much, especially with the angry pedestrians, is that the angry pedestrians, they had 2 separate codes. That's what it was. You could do pedestrians and you could do drivers. The drivers is where the fun came from, because cars would chase you down. And they would chase you down whether you're in your car or whether you're just, kind of on foot, which makes it even funnier because you're trying to dodge cars with low gravity. So cars are just bashing into each other. Like, I remember I was in a certain part of the map where, if anyone remembers, Saints Row 2, it's the area where you're like, oh God, it's like a little waterfront area near a bridge. That's all I can say. And it's like it's kind of a vibrant little city area. And so it's like down by the water. And I remember being down there, and so I don't know what I was doing, why I was down there, but I had the cheat codes on still. And I just remember a car flying over my head and crashing into the water, because the cars were driving off of the road, and of course it's low gravity, so they were just kind of coasting down in low gravity and flying over my head. And it was just so fun. Like, I always loved doing that. And then, having the angry pedestrians come out, and then I'm just like punching people, and you could even charge punches and kicks in that game, so you could kick somebody super hard, and once again, they just go ragdolling. That was another thing. They had a ragdoll thing that you could put in, where like if you click the sticks together, you would instantly do a pratfall and just go into like ragdoll mode. And so I could do that in low gravity, which sometimes would be a little tricky, because cars would hit me so consistently. Like, if you're like trapped in a certain like position, you can't move your character until you're like flat on the ground, and then the game registers, okay, now you can stand up. So sometimes it would be a little tricky. I'd spend like 15-20 seconds just watching cars hit me, and I'm like, I can't do anything, because they're just tossing me back and forth like like a ping pong ball. So Saints Row 2 is definitely like my pinnacle of cheat codes in games, where I could just spend hours doing that, and it would just be low gravity. That's, once again, I think that's the game that did it for low gravity, but it was definitely the combination of that plus the pedestrians, where they're flying in to try to take me down, and just watching cars flip over each other. They'll genuinely, they would stop at nothing to hit you. and they would crash into each other. They would hit ramps. They would hit the grass, and it's like the smallest little bump, and because they're flying in. Like, I'm telling you, they weren't like at normal speed and then hitting you and just kind of somewhat moving towards you. They were top speed. They were flying in. It was like they pedal to the metal. Everybody's trying to hit you like it's a destruction derby. And it is so fun. I highly recommend, if you can randomly find a video on YouTube of someone playing around with the Saints Row 2 cheat codes, I highly recommend doing that. I wish they would have brought that back for 3 and 4, because that is my favorite combination of cheat codes. Low gravity, all angry drivers or whatever it was, the pedestrians, and some invincibility, and the super strength was just, like I said, pick somebody up and just throw them. It never gets old. And you could also do the cheat code where every time somebody dies, they like go to heaven. And then there was something where you could also spawn in people and they would just hit the ground. But if you had low gravity, you would just be driving and people would just be like floating in the air. It's kind of creepy depending on how you look at it, but it would just be like random bodies would just be up in the air, and it's because enemies were spawning from heaven or going to heaven. And then it's just like people floating up, and some people were just floating in place. And it's like, I got cars flying at me. They also had invincibility for your car, which was the weirdest, much like invincibility for GTA 5, where it's like, hey, it's a 5-minute limit, where it's like, why'd you do that? Like, that's a weird stipulation to put on a cheat code. In Saints Row 2, they had the weirdest thing in the world where you could make your car invincible, but it registered every single touch of damage. So if you weren't invincible, the instant you stepped out of your car, it would explode literally every single time. Like, your car would be perfectly fine, and then as soon as you step out, it would just explode because it registered all the damage it took. And then once you're outside of it, it's no longer invincible. I always thought that was the weirdest thing in the world. And I think they did have a code where you could like actually heal your car if you remembered to do it. But there's tons of times where I would forget because I'm just like running around, and then I would just step out and it's like, my car just blows up next to me. I'm like, dang. I was driving for like 4 or 5 minutes just dodging cars, and then I finally just step out and I'm like, I wasn't thinking, I forgot. So I always thought that was a weird half of that cheat code, where it was like, why did you make it register all of the damage, and then it only affects it as soon as I step out, and then it just blows up every time you step out? So that I always thought was an interesting little like stipulation that they put on there. I was like, that's weird, but loved it. Like I said, I genuinely believe I put more time into the game just messing around through cheat codes than I ever did just beating the game. It probably took me less time than the time I put in afterwards with cheat codes. And let me tell you, low gravity and was the insurance fraud, which is already the best mini game. Low gravity plus insurance fraud is ridiculous because they already increased the element of like how you can control yourself in midair, and then you get like you basically get your meter up, and then it's like, oh, you can now like fly a little bit higher. You put a little bit higher plus low gravity, and you can literally fly across the entire map. Like, I would let a car hit me, and then you're just stuck. That's another thing, like I said, where you're stuck in a position until you hit the ground. You'll just be in this awkward position, but you can literally control yourself and fly across the entire map. The amount of money is just like ridiculous that you get on that, which is super funny to watch. But you can literally fly across the map if you do low gravity. And of course, I would have the angry cars coming at me. So you have angry cars plus the low gravity plus the meter allowing you to control yourself. You literally could fly across the entire map. Like, you could probably fly across and back if you do it right. Like, it depends on the angle of how you were hit, because sometimes you could be hit like straight forward, you might just kind of go down the road. But if you're hit upwards, you're good to go. You can just fly. You can literally, you're just swinging, you're just controlling it, and you're just moving around the map in a really silly, awkward position because you can't move in midair. But you're just flying around the whole map, and it's super fun. I always love that. Like I said, that is my pinnacle of just a combination of cheat codes. But if I had to pick one, low gravity is where it's at. I always thought low gravity was really well done. Watching random things fly around and just be in the air. Uncharted is actually a really great example. They have cheat codes. They call them modifiers. I think it's the same as in The Last of Us. They call them modifiers now. But Naughty Dog is probably like one of the few companies still doing it where it's still like cheat codes. Although I don't know if they have low gravity for the for the Last of Us games. I don't know if they have that in there, but they definitely had it in Uncharted, and that was always one of my favorites because it would actually affect things. And of course, ragdoll is funny, so you kill an enemy, then they're just like slowly floating in ragdoll mode. It's funny to look at. So always love zero gravity. That's definitely like my number one cheat code that I would put. If I could put it in any game, it just works. You know, not once again, I'm always quoting Todd Howard. Every time I say that now, I'm like, it didn't work for him, did it? But zero gravity, low gravity, however they, you know, classify it, always fun. Always a really fun time. So those are my thoughts. I just wanted to do a random video on that because I never really talk about like cheat codes and stuff, but it's an era that is really missed. And like I said in the beginning, I know we have mods, but obviously it's not the same thing. It's not just, hey, let me up, down, left, right, and then boom, you know, L1, R1, all that good stuff. I'm sure there's a GTA cheat code in my brain somewhere. If somebody was like, just do a code, I'm sure I could pull one out because I'm sure it was up, down, left, right, L1, R1, L1, R1, square, circle, triangle, X, maybe. That's probably not right. Probably the face buttons I got wrong, but I think the rest of that, they were pretty much the same. So like the up, down, left, right part I probably got, but it's in my head. It's, you know, it's in there, but I wish we could go back to that for sure. I feel like that's just an element of fun that kind of keeps you in the game. Just, you know, silly stuff like that. Like I said, those are the ones I like the most, where it's just health. It's like, oh, okay, like I can beat a game. That's almost like the same as just putting it on easy mode, really. So like those aren't the ones I'm looking for. I want low gravity. I want, you know, super strength where I'm just punching people and they fly like 15 feet. You know, I want ridiculous cheat codes. Like those are the ones that I really miss. So maybe when GTA 6 comes out, we'll get all the old stuff back. I kind of doubt it, but at the same time, they did do like the sort of mod thing, at least on PC, where they give you kind of the menu to do it. So we'll see what happens. And of course, that was like officially modded to like an extreme mode, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when 6 comes out. But I'm looking forward to cheat codes and gaming making a comeback in some way, shape, or form. Maybe it'll only be in specific types of games. Maybe it'll only be like a couple of codes. I don't know. But I want cheat codes to really make a comeback. And like I said early on, I want to know your favorite cheat code ever. What's the cheat code you would just put in everything? And of course, what game did you have like the most fun in with whatever combination of cheat codes they had? So for me, low gravity, and the game is Saints Row 2. We'll love to know yours, and we'll see what happens. Maybe it's just a bygone era and we only have mods. Maybe that's just where it's at. But I hope cheat codes start to make a comeback in some way, shape, or form. But I would love to know your thoughts. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.